Hi, and welcome back. Let's turn our attention now to something in Chapter 7 that measures risk and return called the Capital Asset Pricing Model. Okay, CAPM. Sometimes is how it's referred to. So let's put our title off to the side here. What the capital asset pricing model allows us to do is to solve for the required rate of return, or the appropriate rate of return for an investment project given its degree of risk as measured by beta. So, what are the things that are in this model? Let's go ahead and write out the CAPM formula first. CAPM formula. And a little background, this was actually developed on the backs of some economists named Myron Scholes and, boy, I forget his first name, but Black. So it's the Black and Scholes model. They were involved in this CAPM creation as well. And the formula, going back to the formula, we have KP equals K. Now K is always a rate of return, okay, so that's why they use K. It's probably for capital. RF plus KM minus KRF times beta. Now notice in your book they actually have a multiplication sign here. I don't do that. I think it's easier to work the algebra if we just do it the way that we're supposed to. So this is multiplied times beta, so it's beta times this entire thing in the parentheses here, this entire equation in the parentheses, going back to our algebra. Okay, and so what we have now, it's our CAPM formula. Put that off to the side, and we'll refer back to it. And I'm just going to give some definitions here. KP equals the rate of return of the investment. I'll put required rate of return on investment. We have KM, first up KRF, equals the return on risk-free assets. We have KM, which is the return for the market for this particular type of asset. Okay, and then beta, Greek letter beta, is beta. That one's easy to remember. Alright, there's our definitions. Put those off the side too. And let's actually go ahead and solve this thing. Yeah, that one's not as important. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this. So, well, before we solve it, let's just talk about it for a second up here. So, what this is saying is the required rate of return on the asset or on the investment that we're looking at, in the particular industry that we're looking at, equals the rate of return on a risk-free asset. So, in essence, a treasury bond or something like that, risk-free asset, plus the difference between the market rate of return and the risk-free asset multiplied times the beta of this particular investment. Okay? So, when we solve for this, we can not have one of these elements okay, any one of these things we cannot have, we should be able to solve, as long as we have 3 of the 4 elements here, we should be able to solve for it. So let's take an example where we have let's see. Alright, let's take an example here where we have we have a KP being the investment's required rate of return equals 9.5%. We have the market rate of return equals 13%. And we have the risk-free rate of return equaling 6%. Okay, so that's what we're starting with. Let's go ahead and minimize that just a bit. So how do we solve for, we'll say solve for beta. Okay, we don't know what beta is. Uh-oh, that's a problem. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out what the beta is in this market. So 9.5 equals 6 plus 13 minus 6, there we go, times beta. Okay. So, first thing I would do, looking at this, I'd subtract 6 from both sides. We're trying to solve for beta, right? So if we're going to solve for beta, we want everything that's dealing with beta right now on one side of our equation. So we're going to get rid of our 6 by subtracting 6 from both sides. So we're left with 3.5 equals 13 minus 6 beta, or of course 7, right? And so we can say 3.5 equals 7 beta. And to then solve for beta, we can say beta equals, multiply both sides by 1 over 7, 3.5 over 7, so beta equals 0.5. Beta equals 0.5 in this market if that's what we're being asked. Okay, so that's an example of using the capital asset pricing model to solve a particular question. You should be able to use this model to solve for, say, the market rate of return or the risk-free asset, although that would be a more difficult one. You probably wouldn't get that. But definitely to solve for beta, to solve for your required rate of return, and also to solve for potentially the market rate of return. Okay, that's the end of this lesson on the capital asset pricing model.